All right, so I just wanted to take a little bit of time and very quickly explain what's meant by this proposition P implies Q. I've been getting asked about this one quite a bit, and it seems to me as though a lot of students don't really understand what's going on underneath the hood. And it's not hard to see, right? Because you simply don't know that P implies Q, or if P then Q is in fact logically equivalent to not P or Q. They're the same thing. Let's prove this actually. So not P, right? 0, 0, 1, 1, not P or Q. So if we look very carefully, not P or Q, true, false, true, true. Let's take a look at P implies Q at the same time. True and true is true, true and false is false, true in all other cases. But like, why? I think the easiest way to understand, I mean, you can look at this and understand, right? But this is so ambiguous, but we know that they're logically equivalent. So let's look at the circuit diagram and hopefully it'll shed a little bit of insight as to what exactly is going on here. So this gate is currently off. And if we take a look at our truth table here, we know the only instance when the output is false is when P is true. All right, so P is what we call the hypothesis, and Q we typically call the conclusion. So when the hypothesis is true and the conclusion is false, the output is false. In all other cases, it's true. But why? Well, let's take a look, right? So here we see that, in fact, the hypothesis P is true and the conclusion Q is false. And as we'd expect, the output's off. So we have an OR gate here, and it expects two inputs. So this pin is off, and it's a direct line of communication to our OR gate. So we'd expect that it's getting no current here. But what's going on here? We're sending current, but it's getting inverted here. This is a NOT gate. So this one flips to 0. So it's 0, 0. That's why the output's off. And in all other cases, right? In all other cases, this gate evaluates to true. So let's flip this bit. It turned on. Why? Why is it on? So we can see that we're sending nothing here, but we're also sending nothing here, but it gets flipped to 1 here. So that's what's going on. So we're in fact supplying at least one set of voltage to this OR gate. And it's an inclusive OR gate, so I think that distinction is very important. Exclusive OR would be a different situation, but inclusive OR is either or. Both of them can be on at the same time, right? So let's take a look at that. Let's look at all the possible cases. So we've got true and true evaluates to true. And if you look very carefully, if the conclusion is true, right? If Q is true, it doesn't matter what the value of P is. It doesn't matter what the hypothesis is. The output's going to always be true because of this direct line of communication. The tricky thing is, though, to understand, I think a lot of people don't quite get is, why is the light still on when both inputs are false? Well, again, the NOT gate is here. And it's just going to invert this 0 over to a 1 and flip the lights on. So we did 1 and 1. 1 and 0 is off, right? 0 and 1 is on, and 0 and 0 is still on. So hopefully that would have shed a little bit of light as to what exactly is going on underneath the hood with P implies Q, or if P then Q. You can do a little bit of research on something called, I think it's modus ponens and modus tollens. I can't quite recall, but just something to that effect. Look them up and you'll be able to see what exactly I'm talking about. And you can build out your own circuit diagram and play around with it. So hopefully that helps some people out at the very least.